Hi, friends. Susan Axelrod here, host of The Confidence Zone. Periodically, I come here to share wisdom gleaned and gained, often from women in the second half of life. But to tell you the truth, at this point, I'm gleaning wisdom from all kinds of people at all ages and stages of life. I have used social media extensively in my personal growth and development, and definitely in my business growth and development. LinkedIn is one of the platforms that I use, and I tune in actively in consciousness to see what I can learn and especially what I can share. So when I saw this post with this title that I'm about to read to you, I tuned in. The title was this: The Surprising Overlap of Philanthropy Advisory and Psychotherapy, 4 Things They Have in Common. I was definitely interested in this from my own personal and professional experience, and I read with interest to find out what the 4 things were. Then I looked up who wrote the post. It turned out to be Santi, and I invited her to simply join me in the Confidence Zone today to share her thoughts about how this post came about. Hi, Jenny. Good to see you today.
Hi, great to see you, Susan. Thanks for having me.
People who know me know I don't say what I don't mean. And so I always say what I mean when I say that. The title of the post, the overlap of philanthropy, advisory, and psychotherapy, really struck me because I've been in the world of philanthropy since I was 22. I started out early as a fundraiser. I grew my career in major gifts and eventually planned giving, where I lived for 25 years, so to speak, working with many philanthropists, working with people of wealth, families of wealth, multi-generational families. And so I love your term philanthropy advisory, and then eventually evolved my own career as a coach. Mm-hmm. How did this happen? How did this come about? I've learned from my own self-reflection, coaches better be self-reflecting as well, that deep down, intuition found me early. And I started maybe reading people early, and that's how I became a good fundraiser. Oh. Right. And so that's really why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And I wanted to invite you to share a little bit about your thesis of the crossroads of, this is my language, the crossroads of philanthropy, advisory, and psychotherapy.
Sure. Yes. Well, I was inspired to write this because I am a psychotherapist now, and I have an atypical background. I've had a long career in philanthropy and wealth management before I became a psychotherapist, and I also have an MBA. And it's really my lifelong interest in personal development. Just as you have described, you share the same interest. That has led me to this career in psychotherapy, where my goal is to help clients achieve self-knowledge, mental stability, clarity, healing, and also self-confidence, which is another thing that we share. And my reflections on this overlap between philanthropy advisory and psychotherapy really started probably when a client that I had in philanthropy humorously referred to me as his shrink. And, we were meeting. This was a person who had achieved much success early in life, material success, financial success. And we were talking about the setup of his foundation. We were going to build a new foundation for him that was based on his personal experiences. And we'd talk every so often, and he started referring to our meetings as his shrink sessions. And I realized, well, thank you. I take that as a compliment, because I think if you are a shrink, if you are a therapist, that means that you're really hearing private things about a person, right? Things that they don't really want to share or are comfortable sharing with anyone else. And what I realized is that the things that we talk about in philanthropy advisory are of an existential nature. As you can imagine, in this field, we're talking to people who have achieved so much, who have gained so much materially, financially, who have built great things, and yet they're searching for something else. I mean, what is missing? Uh, there's something missing, and I think most of us are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy by Abraham Maslow,
Mm-hmm.
the American psychologist who, in the 1940s, attempted to explain the pattern of human motivations, which starts with physiological needs, and then we have safety needs, we have the need for belongingness, self esteem, and the final one, as most of us know, is self actualization. But as I've been studying this, and I wrote a book a few years ago called "The Giving Way to Happiness: Stories and Science Behind the Life-Changing Power of Giving." One of the things that I discovered about Maslow's hierarchy is that despite the fact that it has remained one of the most enduring constructs that explain the patterns of human behavior, what we what not many of us know is that Abraham Maslow, before his death, revised that hierarchy because he discovered something else that goes on top of self-actualization as the greatest human need. And so, after having done more research, Maslow actually amended this model, and the description of the hierarchy of needs, uh, the change to the description of the hierarchy of needs has changed now at the highest level. And he says that the individual ultimately works not just towards self actualization, but self transcendence, which is when you invoke the needs of the other. You try to help others, and you put your own needs aside, and you work in service towards others. And yeah, so those are the types of things that we discuss in philanthropy advisory sessions. Can you imagine? I mean,
Right.
it's quite deep, and it's very emotional, which led me to eventually write this piece about the four things that they have in common.
So we're going to talk about the four things. I have such a big smile on my face. Some people will only be listening to this because they'll just have us in their head while they're walking or whatever. I tell people, just listen to my stuff while you're walking.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch us. But I have a big smile on my face because I just said I still have fundraising coaching clients.
Mhm.
So now I work with founders and executive directors, board members in an area I call fundraising coaching. And I just said to somebody recently, money is more intimate than sex. People would sooner tell you about their sexual activity than they will about their financial activity. She was like, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "Oh, yes, this is absolutely true." And you just agreed. You know what I'm talking about. When you said, by the way, I'm writing notes just so you know. If I look down and look away, because this is so amazing to me. You talked about discussions of an existential nature.
Mhm.
This is the difference between fundraising and philanthropy as I teach it. Philanthropy is love of humankind, right? Love of humankind. And fundraising is asking for money. And so then you said that these people have achieved, right, at the highest level, perhaps in whatever achievement means by traditional markers.
Uh-huh.
But then what did you say? But there's something missing.
Mhm.
And so also I teach, I use the SI, the
Mhm.
spiritual intelligence, and the soul quotient in
Mhm.
my work, just like you do. That's where you are. And that's why you're in soul connection. That's why these people I'm talking about even before the psychotherapy,
Mhm.
as you said, the philanthropy advisory work came first.
Mhm.
And then you eventually decided to get a degree and codify your work. But this is so beautiful and amazing, the self-transcendence. I am so happy to be having this discussion today because I believe that our words speaking this out will more positively impact the third sector so that we can move into love of humankind from analytics around fundraising. I know we need money. I get it. I get that. Let's just move into the four things, because of course I also observe a business model. And once you say, well, I'll talk about four things, I'm like, oh, what are the four things?
Yes.
Of course. So this is awesome. So I'm going to read them to you.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So for our listeners and viewers, I'm going to read what the four things were, which brought me in deeper myself to reach out to you. You and I don't know each other. I just reached out and said, hey, do you want to have a
Thank you for reaching out.
conversation? Yeah, no, thank you. And you said, like, what is this? And I said, it's a conversation. So this is so great. So here are the four things that Jenny is talking about that are in common between philanthropy advising and psychotherapy. Number one, both require deep listening and empathy. Number two, both involve exploring personal motivations. Number three, both involve guiding transformation. And number four, both should adopt a holistic perspective. I'm like so happy right now, but the purpose of this conversation that I do, it's called Women's Wisdom. It's a playlist on my YouTube channel, is to introduce people to people like you.
Uh-oh. Have I
And
lost?
whoops, can you see me?
I can see you. I can see
Okay, good. Now I was just saying I want to create a podcast on this so we can delve down deeply, But for right now, what would you like to share about how you came up with these four constructs and in more generalized terms, how they serve your work?
I think I wanted to put the message out there because I realized that both people in the psychology, psychotherapy world, as well as the philanthropic sector, will be reading what I posted. And I wanted to put the message out that there are things that we can learn from one another. Like, for example, uh, how do I bring these philanthropic experiences and lessons into my psychotherapy practice? Well, one thing that I would love to see is helping others. How helping others and giving back can be part of one's healing journey. Because I've seen that time and time again, and I think you've seen many examples of that, right? Like people who have lost loved ones, memorialize them through a foundation, or even just donating to something in the name of a loved one that they lost, and that becomes part of their grieving and their healing. Or maybe someone who's lost someone to cancer supports a cancer charity. We've seen all sorts of examples like this. And again, it connects to the idea that philanthropy, giving back, is all about one's purpose, one's journey. It's not just about what is the area of greatest need, because there are so many areas of great need, right? From climate change to uh, poverty to LGBTQ rights, and you name it. There are so
So
many.
much. It's
Yes,
so much.
yes. But if you connect it to your experience, it just means so much more. Um, and the one thing I always say to my clients is that, whatever issue you pick, you're going to get picked on. It's going to be hard. They're going to criticize you. It's going to be a tough climb. You're probably not going to solve the problem in your lifetime. Probably not. But it's your passion for the cause that will keep you going. And it will be tough. So just be prepared. But if you care about it that much, then yeah, you'll keep going.
You're in it. Yeah. I'm a living, breathing example of what you just said. I mean, in my personal experience of a career of 35 plus years,
Mm.
and my personal journey of the same, I had a deep and abiding interest in helping our Jewish daughters become Jewish mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And my own daughters were like, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
not really. But, when this all started about 10, 12 years ago or more, that's kind of, they were younger, And so I reached out to somebody I knew, and I co-founded an organization. And she became the global executive. She's managing it. It's hers. I support her. I recently made a major gift in legacy tribute to my husband. Why? Because she's such an expert fundraiser, because I taught her that she created these opportunities. It's so good what you're saying. I'm like, you could interview me on my experience of that piece of your thesis, which is that people can be served. People have a desire to contribute to the welfare of others and society. People can be so served by getting outside of themselves. And so I especially love this. I especially love this as a healing tool. Exactly what you said. My website is still called whatwillyourlegacybe.com.
Yeah.
Because of this exact thesis, which I learned when I created a business card with that on it in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Everybody had websites,
Wow.
And I got my friend got me the domain name, and I've had it, since then. I've used it. So I am a student and practitioner of what you just described exactly in my academic work, in my professional work, but also personally. I am a complete, I guess, do you call it manifestation of exactly what you're talking about as well, which is why this resonated so deeply with me.
Amazing. Well, there's more in this book that
I know. I can't wait to read it. I'm going to order it.
But the other side of the coin is that, the field of philanthropy, I think, also can learn from the field of psychotherapy. Especially when it comes to the deep listening and empathy part. I mentioned in my post that both fields require deep listening skills and deep empathy. And listening, really, what is listening? Listening is really just focusing on the other person. It's not about thinking, what might I say next? Because usually that's what we do, right? We think about, while the person is still talking, what's the smart thing to say after that, right? And we're so focused on what we want to say next that we're not really absorbing what is this person really saying, with not just the words, but with the eyes, the facial expressions, the body. You pay attention to all that as a therapist. And what do philanthropic advisors or charity fundraisers often do, right? They maybe they listen a little bit, but they come with an agenda. Like, I have to pitch this idea. Funding this.
Oh my God, you're so in my pain point right now.
This product, I'm going to push this charity. You have to give to this staff. You have to, this is it. And the person is talking about something else. And you don't realize maybe if you just listen a little more, you could get more. You actually could get more out of this person, right? If you just listen to what this person is really interested in. And if you just took the time to really understand what are their underlying motivations for giving, then you could really more effectively guide what steps you would encourage that person to take.
I have long-term clients still. I'm in my 12th year working with them as, I guess you might call me a consultant, but it's really as a philanthropic, advisor and coach. And they're an all-volunteer organization. It's not a fundraising organization at all. Uh-huh. And I started out helping them to understand what you're saying, which is when you get philanthropy, love of humankind, when you get it right, from what you just shared with us, your deep listening and being in the experience of them, not trying to get the gift in the door now for my metrics, then the donor will thank you. Mm-hmm. And within, I think, 2 years of my coming on board and working with them, they got a $250,000 gift, which was huge. Wow. for this organization. And we had a little donor event, exactly the way the donor wanted. It was very quiet and private, but this person, the president, was there with me when the donor thanked the organization for this opportunity. And she like elbowed me. And she said, oh my gosh, he just thanked us for giving the money. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens when you get it right. So I am so thrilled about this, Jenny. I want to say thank you so much. First of all, for posting such a thoughtful post and really just giving it all to us, because I teach social media, organic marketing in the best way. This is the best of
this
it.
happened organically, right?
It totally organically, but you're sharing your wisdom, because anybody could just take this and go with it, right? You shared something of such value from your experience. You took the time to write your book. I can't wait to read your book. These are the books that I buy. And then showing up with me today in this unexpected way, and being so clear. This is what I love. It's so thoughtful of your sharing the wisdom that you've gleaned and gained, yourself. And so I'm very, very grateful for this. Again, this is intended for an opportunity to introduce you and these ideas. And I'm so happy to do this. I'm going to post this on all my social, because I want people to live life easier from these principles that you're sharing now. That's what I've experienced myself. And also, I believe it's what humanity needs. So thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. It's been such a pleasure.
Can you share with us where do you want to send people? Do you have a website?
Yes, sure. So right now I'm a psychotherapist. So I am taking on clients. You can find me on psychologytoday.com. Jenny Santi is the full name. I also have my book on Amazon, The Giving Way to Happiness.
Yeah.
And I'm also working on a new book, which is not out yet, but it's on a completely different topic, which I think affects us all. And it probably has more to do with the topic of confidence. It's on envy. And it's an emotion that is quite a taboo, but we probably all feel if we care enough to admit it. We feel it even towards our closest friends. So this is my latest research. I'm working on it still, and I'm very excited about it.
Well, I'm very excited about that. In my work as a confidence coach, I say things that shock other people. And that might be the idea. Oh, I'm hearing envy show up. Oh, I'm not. They might. Yeah, I love it. Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that.
Envy has so much to teach us about what we truly want. And it's to be continued.
To be continued. One of my clients kind of revealed being in addiction, what I call addiction relationship. This morning, I call that when you're in relationship with someone in addiction or use disorder. I call that being in addiction relationship. And I sort of said, yeah, you could stay if you want. If you want, you can stay. You don't have to.
It's your choice, right?
Yeah.
Just take responsibility for it.
Exactly. And it's so good. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Thank you so much for your time. I'll post the links, when I put this on my YouTube channel. If you have a YouTube channel, post this so people can really know you and know even more. And especially this piece that I love so much. So thank you so much, Jenny. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much, Susan. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.